Okay, so I'm going to make 2 videos now, which will help you if you just want a bit of a way into the pseudocode question, the 15-mark question. If you're really confident and happy with pseudocode, then have a look. But I'm not going to give you a 15-mark answer. I'm just trying to get everybody into the middle mark bands, which we can do by following the method that we were practicing in class. What we didn't do in class was the actual the 15-mark question on the sample paper, which is what we're going to do now. Okay, so you might be feeling very confident. This may help just as a sort of just to remind you what we did, or it might be something that you can practice, and then in the exam then you can use this method. Anyway, so this is what we did in the lesson. First of all, we're going to annotate on the question. Now you can annotate on the question, or if you'd rather not, you can just annotate, use the extra pages they give you on the paper. So the first thing we're going to do is obviously we read the question. The top bit of information is important, and we will be coming back to that shortly, but we're looking for this bit down here. Write a program that meets the following requirements. These are the points your program has to do. These are the points that you're going to be marked against. So we're going to mainly focus on these, and we'll use the information at the top as and when we need to. Identify inputs first of all. Now looking through here, there aren't actually any inputs. The reason for that is the data we need is already stored for us. So the names of the students are in this array here, and all their marks are in this array here, student mark. So there are no inputs. That doesn't mean to say that there may not or may not be inputs in any future exam questions. Okay, let's go ahead and identify output. So looking down here, we've got calculate. Now we've got some outputs. We output the name, total mark, average grade, grade awarded, calculate stored output, number of distinctions, number of merits, number of passes, number of fails. So there's a nice few outputs there for us to work with a bit later. Next, we're going to identify variables, constants, and arrays. And I've said there, first look at inputs and outputs, because generally something that's input or output will need to be stored. Right, so looking at our outputs, name. You could create a variable for name, but you don't need to because they're already stored in the student name array, so we've already got those. But if you did make a variable, it wouldn't matter. But we do need to store the combined total mark once we've worked it out. We need to store their average grade. We need to store the grade that we're going to award them. And we also need a variable that's going to store the number of distinctions, number of merits, number of passes, and the number of fails as well. That's all our variables identified from this bit down here, but something I want you to look out for in the question is they've given us this table, or there could be something else somewhere which would suggest constants, so variables that don't change while the program is running. So average mark greater than or equal to 70, that isn't going to change the whole time the program is running. Neither is the mark for merit being greater than 55. Neither is the mark for a pass, and neither will the fail requirements. So let's just put C's down for these, and we'll write them up as constants a little bit later. Doesn't matter for now how we're going to do that. Let's just get everything labelled. Right, next thing is what needs to be processed or calculated or worked out. So coming back down to here, these are our bullet points. So we do need to calculate the total mark. We do need to calculate the average mark, and so we've got total mark, average mark, and we need to we're going to work out the grade awarded. Again, you could put that down as processing as well, but we certainly need to calculate the number of distinctions, number of merits, number of passes, and the number of fails. Probably I'd put a P for the grade awarded as well. Okay, lastly, any loops. So anything that's going to repeat. Now, because we've got a class of students, we need a loop that's going to repeat the number of times the students are in the number of students that are in the class. And it might say that there are 15 students in the class up in this top bit, but it doesn't. But it does say the variable class size contains the number of students, so that will be our first loop. Also, because we're working out the average grade that they have based on the number of subjects they do, so this will also be part of a loop as well. Subject no contains the number of subjects studied, so we're going to need to excuse me, we're going to need to repeat those as well. Okay, so that's everything annotated. Okay, before I stop this first video and then move on to the next one, this is really important, and we are going to use pseudocode, and that's fine, we practice that, and add comments. If you don't add comments, you are locking yourselves out of the upper mark band. So I mentioned it when we were looking at this in class, and it's really important. I'm going to mention it again and a couple more times as well. Okay, so I'll stop this video, have a look, see if you can practice annotating the question. The question will obviously be different, but I'm assuming the format will be very similar, with some information, possibly a table, and then you'll see write a program that meets the following requirements, which is the bit you're going to mainly focus on, and dipping in up here looking for constants and looking for your loops. So I'll stop this, have a go at that, then the next video we'll look at how we can use this information and write it up as a solution.